Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Bhunattu Sah Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May the Almighty Lord protect us. May He nourish us. May we work together with great energy. May our study be enlightening and fruitful. May we not hate each other. Om peace, peace and peace be unto all. Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Lord, kindly lead us from unreal to real, from darkness to light, and from death to immortality. O peace, peace and peace be unto all. Sutismati Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Loka Shankaram. We bow down to the lotus feet of Jagadguru Adi Shankaracharya, who is the abode of Shrutis, Smatis and Puranas, and also he is the abode of compassion, and also who brings the peace and happiness to the whole world. So with that we'll get started. So yesterday we discussed the verse number 24 and 25 and 26.
So we've gone to 27 now.
Yeah, today we are going to discuss like 27 and no.
Yes, 27 also we did yesterday.
We finished 27 yesterday. The numberings are a little different in this book. 28, 29, 30, 31.
I think that is because the 24 is one liner. Yeah.
Right. Right. So we did like so we did 26 and 27 according to this book, the Shraddha and Samadhan.
Yeah.
So what with the 26 according to this book is Shastrasya Guru Vakyasya Satya Buddhyavadharana Sa Shraddha Kathita Sadbi Yaya Vastupalabhyate. Means by applying the discrimination or our intellectual reasoning, we consider the words of the teacher as well as the words of the scriptures as absolutely true. That is defined, or that is said to be the Shraddha by the sages, by which the truth can be, the reality or the truth can be obtained. So and Shraddha is, as we said, there is no exact equivalent of this word anywhere else in any other languages. Shraddha is just Shraddha. In English we can find, say, like the belief or the faith, but those are mere, like, belief means just following what somebody is telling or what we are reading, just following blindly. That might be the faith or belief. But here the last line of this word, the Yaya Vastu Upalabhyate, means getting the truth out of it. That makes the whole lot of difference. Whatever we hear, whatever we read, or whatever we get from anywhere else, we try to subject it to the verifiable test. We get the truth out of it. That's what it is. So that's how all the scientific progress in the world, that is a result of this Shraddha. And more importantly, what we get out of our sages of the Upanishads, unless they had this dynamic quality Shraddha, we couldn't have come up, or they couldn't have come up with the declarations like Aham Brahmasmi, Tattvam Asmi, and likewise. So the Shraddha is a very extremely important quality, and to know the unknown dimension of the reality. Everything that we perceive in this world is through our five senses, prapanch, that's why we call it prapanch. But to understand, know the reality which is beyond our senses, that can be done only by Shraddha. So that's important. And then we saw the Samadhan is Sarvada Stapanam Buddhe Shuddhe Brahmani Sarvada Tat Samadhanam Mityuktam Natu Chittasya Laranam. So Samadhan is like fixing the mind, not really the mind but the intellect, which is the affirming faculty of our this thing. on to the supreme Brahman, fixing it all the time, that is known as the samadhan, and it is not merely the intellectual oscillations out of the philosophical curiosity. Initially to start with, we have a lot of philosophical, intellectual curiosity, mental curiosity, and then we read books, we hear just to understand, know what is this and all that. But that is not really samadhan. Samadhan is to go beyond the mind, intellect and just the curiosity and fix the mind onto the supreme reality all the time. So the word sarvada is very important. That is kind of a self-settledness of the mind and intellect onto the supreme reality. And the word sarvada is one thing that we need to emphasize truly. Sarvada means all the time. It's like a 24 hours a day, 7 days a week and 365 days in a year. Then only we can pursue that reality sincerely. So that was sarvada. And then now today we come to the last part of our samadhi shatak. No, samadhi shatak sampati we have finished with this verse. The samadhan is the last of the shatak sampati. Sham, dhamma, uparati, titiksha, shraddha and samadhan. So with this we have finished. And the last one, the fourth of the Sādhanacatuṣṭayam is called mumukṣhatvam, which is most important. So that's what we are going to discuss today. So Acharyaji gives also a very classical definition of the fourth way of attainment, means of attainment. Sādhanacatuṣṭayam is called mumukṣhatvam, the desire for liberation. And that he says, ahankarādi dehantan bandhan ajñān kalpitan swasvarupava bodhena muktum ichcha mumukshata. So it means mumukshata, or the desire for liberation or the yearning for liberation, is the desire to free oneself from all kinds of the bondage. He's adding ahankarādi. Ahankarādi means ego, mind, intellect, ego. Those are the ahankar adi. Means there are, we can say basically primarily there are four, which are parts of the subtle body. Man, buddhi, ahankar and chit. So those are the they form our inner instrument. We also call it antakarana. So if we identify with one of these four, then also we are bound. Because in reality, our pure consciousness or Atma or Brahma is even beyond the subtle body. And then ahankarādi is, we can say it is the subtle body, and dehantan means up to the gross body, which is like this, all these indriyas, the five organs of perception, five organs of action, and the physical gross body, that is the dehantan, bandhan. So the ignorance, out of ignorance, we get identified with one of these three bodies we have. We have the gross body, that is we just talked about, and then we have the subtle body, consisting those four entities, man, buddhi, ahankar and chit. That is it. So if we identify with any of these two, out of ignorance, then we are bound. And then different times we identify with different entities. Sometimes we identify with the mind, means emotions. We get emotional. Oh my God, I saw that person, he was so much in trouble, we get so much compassion. That comes out of emotion actually. And sometimes we get so much angry, that's again a kind of emotion. There are hundreds of emotions, but we identify ourselves at a certain time, we identify with that kind of emotion and we get bound. And then buddhi, sometimes we get like intellectual conviction, we read some book or we hear some good lecture and we intellectual conviction and we get bound by that. So that is man, buddhi, ahankar. Ahankar is the biggest, it's the biggest bond. I am this, I am the such and such person, I have this much power, wealth, money, power, position, and the worst is, I have so much of knowledge.
Yeah.
The ahankar of the knowledge is the worst to give up. It's the worst. So, if we get bound with all these things, ahankar and ahankar of anything, if we get bound with this, 16th chapter talks about it. Devas or Sampad Vibhag Yoga, so he talks in great length with these asuras, not asuras, human beings having that asuric kind of a buddhi, devasura sampad. If we are asuri sampad, then we but idam madhyamaya labdham imam prapse manortham idam asti idam abhime bhavishyati punardhanam. I have this money, I am going to get this money, this. So I am going to acquire the whole world. Asomaya hata satru hanishyecha aparanapi Ishvaro aham bhogi siddho aham balavan sukhi. I am the Lord, I am the perfected being. Who else is equal to me? Like that they had this ahankar. So this ahankar, the bondage of the ahankar is the worst and the biggest to get rid of. And so that is either the gross body, subtle body, and we also have a third one, that is the causal body. The cause, that is primarily it consists of the ignorance. That is already he is saying that agyan kalpitam, this bondage come out of what? Because of the ignorance of our true nature. What is our true nature? Siddhananda Rupa Shivom Shivom, we just chanted that. But we, most of us to start with, when we start our spiritual journey or religious journey, we are completely, totally unaware of our real nature, which is pure consciousness or Atma or Brahman, or that's what it is. So we get bound. So this mukshutvam is what? Is breaking all these bonds. Three types of bond, by either identification with the gross body, subtle body, or even the causal body out of the ignorance. That is exactly called the mukshuta. And the first thing that we want to highlight in this is this mukshuta is an exclusive prerogative of only the human beings. The other we have discussed. Acharya says in the very third verse of vivekacūḍāmaṇi, he says, Durlabham trayame vetat devanugra hetukam manushyatvam mumukshutvam mahapurusha sansraya. So these three are extremely rare and are available only by the grace of the Lord. What are those three? The birth as a human being, then the desire for liberation, mumukshutvam, and then the Mahapurusha sansraya, the satsang, the company of the holy men. That is very difficult. So, but then also in the previous verse, he gives a little more detailed explanation that we discussed actually. Maybe it might be a good idea to discuss it again. That jantunam narajanma durlabam ata punchatvam tato viprata tasmat vedic dharma marg parta vidvatvam asmat param atma anatma vivechanam swanubhavo brahmatmana sanstiti muktirno, mukti, note the word mukti, means the liberation. Muktirno shatajanma koti sukrate punner vina labhyate. So if we sometimes we get misunderstood, oh, I am born as a human being. Also, the other places, other scriptures also say the same thing. So then I should be liberated. Not necessarily. Therefore, Acharya is to remove that kind of a misconception. He gives this list is 7 qualities. First is being born as a human being. Then second is tata jantunam narjanam ata punsatvam, being born having the manly qualities, not being born in a male body. That's not the idea actually. That's only the literal. The meaning is the true manhood, we can call it, or manlyhood, or the manly qualities. To have that is next higher that about the human being, then manly quality. So many women can have, they do have it actually. Punsatam tato viprata. Then the Brahminhood, not necessarily born in the Brahmin family, but having those Brahmin qualities, as Krishna has defined in Bhagavad Gita, Chaturvarnam Maya Sashtam Gunakarma Vivaksa, he has defined it. No, in 18th chapter, he gives a little more detailed explanation. Brahmana Kshatriya Visham Shudranam cha Parantapa Karmani Pravibhaktani Swabhav Prabhaver Gune. He said, I have defined this, the qualities of this Brahmana Kshatriya Visham or Sudranam, Swabhav, according to their internal nature, not according to their birth. Nowhere he says according to the birth. Swabhav Prabhaver Gune. Shamo, Brahman he decides. Shamo damas tabay soche, shanti arjam, samo damas tabay socham, samo damas tabay khanti arjam evase, jnanam vijnanam astikyam, brahma karma sabhavajam. So these Shama, just we discussed like the first of the Shadak Sampati, Shama, Dama, first two, Shama and Dama. Krishna says the same thing as Adi Shankara defines in the Samadhi, Shadak Sampati, Shama, Dama, Tapa, austerities, Shaucham, cleanliness, as defined by Patanjali and Yoga Sutra, Samodhamotavasam, Kshanti, Arjam, straightforwardness, no crookedness and all that. Arjam is Jnanam Vijnanam Astikyam. Jnanam means the knowledge. of the scriptures. Vijnanam means putting that knowledge, making that knowledge our own experience is Vijnan. That is the Vijnanam. Astikyam means having the faith. Astikyam, you know how to say Astikyam means? Astik and Nastik, you know. So Astikyam,
Divine belief.
yeah,
Belief in
belief in yeah. So that is Astikyam. Brahmaka, those are the attributes of the Brahmanas. So once we have, there is a Vidvam Naturam Nazarunam Atapusam Tato Viprata. That is the next third quality. And then oh my Tasmat Vedic Dharma Marg Parta. Then after the fourth quality is following the lifestyle or the path suggested by the Vedic Dharma. The scriptures, what the following that is the fourth. Tasmat Vedic Dharma Parta. Vidvatvam Asmat Param. The knowledge of the scriptures is the next, but not really just the bookish knowledge, but the grasping the essence of the whole scripture, that is called the Vidvatam. Then comes the sixth one, which is very important. Atma Anatma Vivechanam, that is the very first one Acharya is describing here as Vivek. Nitya Anitya Vastu Vivek. Here Sankaracharya is defined it as Atma Anatma Vivechanam. Swanubhava means go deep inside it, try to go to our real nature. Swanubhava Brahmatmana Sanstiti. Realizing the oneness of the individual soul and the cosmic soul. These are the attributes. So we have, having acquired the human body, we also need to strive for all these attributes in order to get the final mukshatvam or the mukti, which the last line says, Muktirno Shatajanma Koti Sukrate Punner Vina Labhyate. So that final liberation cannot be achieved unless we have earned the merits in the 100 crores of lives. And that is just a hypothetical statement. It doesn't really, it's not really to discourage us, but only is trying to impress us that the goal is really very difficult. One has to really strive hard. It's such a tough job, like we discussed, like a 24/7, 365. It's like a more than full-time job. So that's what it is. And then the other scriptures, it's not that only Tulsidasi Ramcharitmanas. I don't know how much you know about Ramcharitmanas. Very beautifully he said, Bade Bhag, in the last Uttarkand, in the 7th chapter of Ramcharitmanas, Tulsidasi said, Bade Bhag Manastan Pava, Sur Durlabh Sab Granthan Gava, Sādhanacatuṣṭayam Mokshakar Dvara, Pahine Jehi Parlok Savara. So the Bade Bhag Manastan Pava, with great fortunes, one can achieve this human body. Bade Bhag Manastan Pava, Sur Durlabh Sab Granthan Gava. Even the gods staying in the heavens. No, we discussed several times during the last 5-6 days. Gods want to come as human being. Even this human birth is even superior to staying in the heaven as gods or goddesses. Sur Durlabh Sab Granthan Gava. This not Sab Granthan. All the scriptures, they insist the same thing. Sur Durlabh Sādhanacatuṣṭayam Mokshakara Dvara. It is a platform, this human body alone, as we have discussed several times, this human body alone provides us a platform to do the sadhana and to strive for the moksha. Sādhanacatuṣṭayam Mokshakara Dvara, it opens the gateway to the moksha or the liberation or the Sādhanacatuṣṭayam Mokshakara Dvara. Pahine Jehi Parlok Savara. But the person, some of us, the human beings, having obtained this human body, if they do not strive for liberation, what happens to them? The next doha says, Te paratra dukh pavahi, sir dhuni dhuni pachatai, kalai karmahi ishwari, mithya dosa lagai. If they don't strive, having obtained the human body, what happens to them? They suffer afterwards, in the afterlife, hereafter, they suffer. Te paratra dukh pavahi, and then they repent. Sir dhuni dhuni pachatai. Hitting their head, they kind of repent, Sira Dhuni Dhuni Pachatahi, and then what they do? Kalai, Karmai, Ishwari, Mithya Dosa Lagai. Then they blame the Kala, the time, our karmas, unnecessarily they blame the karmas, and also they don't mind blaming the Ishwar also. Ishwar, why are you punishing me? Why me all the time? Ishwar, Mithya Dosa Lagai. And then one more chopai after this duha, he says, Nartan Pai Vishay Manadehi, Palati Sudate Sat Vish Lehi. having obtained this human body, if the people just entertain them with only the sense objects and the sense pleasures, then what are they doing? They are doing like what? They are throwing away the cup of nectar and taking the poison. That's what it is. That's what it goes to that extent. And it is really what this. If you read the Adi Shankara's vivekacūḍāmaṇi, several times we talked about some of the verses. This wish means the poison of the Vishayas, the sense objects, is more dangerous as compared to the poison of a black cobra we have discussed, right? So that's what it is. So that's what it is. And then the bondage of the three bodies. So here we can also refer to this, the first verse of the Atma Shatkam or the Nirvana Shatkam, which will make it more clear actually. Mano buddhi ahankar chittani naham nacha srotra jive nacha grhana netre. So and then the nacha vyoma bhumirna tejon vayu chidananda rupa shivoham shivoham. So man buddhi ahankar and chit, those are the four constituents of the subtle body. So if we identify with any of those, then we get bound. That's why he says, Acharya says very clearly, I am not any of these, man, buddhi, ahankar or chit. And then the second quarter says, nacha srotra jive, nacha grhana netre. All these sense organs and organs of perception, I am none of those. He is disidentifying himself with the gross body as well as gross body here and the subtle body in the previous quarter. And then nacha vyoma bhumir tejon vayu, also a part of gross body, because he is talking, the only four are listed. That's vyoma means akasha, the ether or akasha. Bhumi means the earth. Tejo means the fire. And vayu means the wind. The water is not there probably, but it is implied. All five gross elements, Panch Bhutas, this entire universe or cosmos, according to our Upanishads or our Prishnic knowledge or Vedas, is composed of these five elements only, including this body. So by this, he is negating the whole, negating the identification with the body as well as the remaining part of the universe. And the remaining part of the five more of this Atma Shatkam or Nirvana Shatkam, so many things, other relationships and all those things he is negating. Dharmo, Chartok, even the four Purusharthas he is negating. The Dharmo, Charto, Kamo, Moksha. Siddhan, what is it? Then what am I? If I am none of these, but I have to be something though, right? So my real nature is Siddharanda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham. That is my real nature, and that is what this last verse says. Swa Sarup Avabodhena Muktum Ichcha Moksha. So first we have to identify, know what of these bondages can be from the gross body, subtle body, or the causal body, and then how to sever those bonds, how to cut these bonds by understanding or by knowing our real nature. So that's what it is. Ahankara Vidyantan. Agyan Kalpitan is like a causal body. So Swasarupa Bodhana, by realizing our true nature or Atma, we also call it the pure consciousness. Mandukya Upanishad is the best. Actually, it is the smallest. It is the smallest of all the Upanishads, having only 12 verses, but only the Adi Shankaracharya's Guru's Guru, Gauda, what is it? Gaudapadacharya. He has written a karika or kind of an annexure. That's what this Mandukya Upanishad is. These 12 verses, the original verses of the Mandukya are kind of interspersed into the karika, and the whole thing, it becomes so beautiful. There is a lot of research is going on, a lot of now modern science, and people are trying to find out what is the pure consciousness. And Mandukya Upanishad is the best to understand that if you really want to know what the pure consciousness is, that Mandukya Upanishad is the best. Even though all other Upanishads also talk about it, but Mandukya Upanishad describes the whole thing so beautifully, and especially Gaudapadacharya has done a wonderful job in his karika, in adding to the original 12 mantras of the Mandukya Upanishad. So by realizing our true nature, we can cut these bonds. And of course, I always emphasize the importance of the Swamiji's Song of Sannyasis, which always talks about it. He says strike off thy fetters, the bonds that bind thee down of shining gold or darker, baser ore. Love, hate, good, bad, and all the dual thrones. No slave is slave, caressed or whipped, not free. For fetters, though of gold, are not less strong to bind. Then off with them, sannyasin bold, say, Om Tatsat Om. So what he is trying to tell is this, that we think that we have all kinds of comfort. So where am I bound? I have a good job, I have a wonderful car, a big house, wife, children, good relatives, good position everywhere. So where is the question of bondage? That's what he's saying. You are bound by the golden chains. So this is the caressed or whipped. You are still not free. You are bound by the golden chain. And in what way a golden chain is less strong to bind than an iron chain? So that's what he's telling all the time. So to remove that misconception, that even if you are bound by a golden chain, still we are bound. That's the problem with most of us actually. Most of the people, if you tell them that you should be free, you are bound. Oh, what, you mean that I am bound? Where am I bound? Where is the bound? We talked about the story of the fisherwoman. She could not sleep because she is used to only the stinking smell of the fish. He could not sleep in the fragrance of the flowers. So that's how we are. So, and one more verse in the Song of Sannyasin which might be more relevant. He says in the Song of Sannyasin, where seekest thou? Means where are you searching? Where seekest thou? In books and temples? Oh, no. In where seekest thou? This freedom, friend, this world, nor that can give. This freedom, friend, this world, nor that can give. Sometimes we hear people telling that, I am almost old. So in a few years I am going to die. Then I will be free from everything. That is again a big misconcept, a big wrong concept. By dying, we are not going to, with bonds, we are going to take another body. And then we bound more and we will be bound more in the next body, in the next life. So, but we have feeling that, we are bound here, but the moment we die, we will be free. That's a big, big misconception. That's why Swami says, that freedom, friend, this world, nor that can give. In books and temples, vain thy search. Thine is the only hand that binds thee down. Thine is the only hand that binds thee down. So, it's not that somebody else is binding us. We are binding ourselves. It's not somebody. We are binding, we are holding to the word. Then, let go thy hold. Sannyasin bold, say Om Tatsat Om. Let go thy hold. That is the most important term in this particular song. Let go thy hold means we are holding this word. We say that, I am bound to my job, I am bound to my family, wife, children. But we are holding them. So in this also I can tell you a little bit of story. In India, there was some river, one teacher and the disciple. One day the teacher saw there was a nice blanket floating on top of the river. So he told the disciple, see, winter is approaching, a nice blanket is floating onto the river. Why don't you know swimming? I don't know swimming. So you go into the river and why don't you grab that blanket, we will dry it and use it in winter. He said, okay sir, I will do it. So the disciple went and he went the black nice blanket. So he caught hold of the blanket and then somehow they were kind of struggling and he was not coming back. Then somebody said there was something must be wrong actually. Why this guy is not coming back? So he shouted, hey, why don't you come back? He says, sir, I am trying to come back, but somehow I am not able to come back. Then the struggle went on. It was not really a blanket, it was a black bear. Just floating, only the part of the black bear was floating on the water. So then it says, "Arey, chhod do beta, kambal ko chhod do, tum aa jao. Just leave the blanket and come back." So the boy shouted back, "Maharaj, मैं तो कंबल को छोड़ रहा हूँ पर कंबल मुझे नहीं छोड़ता है. I am ready to leave the blanket. Blanket doesn't want to leave me. So that's the problem with us. कंबल नहीं छोड़ता है. So we have caught hold of this world so much, and now we said that the world doesn't leave us actually. It's not the problem with the world. We have developed so much of passion and attachment with this world that we are not able to get rid of this world. That is the problem with this. So there is a self-effort. That's where the self-effort is required, and we have to little bit analyze and contemplate on this word of the Swamiji, that let go thy hold, let go thy hold, then we can do it. And how we can do that? A lot of self-effort is required. And how we can do that? And the Bhagavad Gita again, Swa-Swarupa Bodhena means by understanding and realizing our own nature. The Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham. What is the Chidananda? Sat Chit Ananda should be there. The pure existence, Sat means existence, Chit means knowledge, Anand means bliss. So existence, knowledge, bliss. That's all. The combination is Satchidanand, and that's what the pure consciousness, that's what the Atma or the Brahm is. Once we know that is the only thing we are, that is what exactly we are, and none of these things, this body, mind. So that's what Krishna, when he starts the discourse, the very starting verse, from verse number 11 onwards, to verse number 39, that a very clear-cut distinction between the body and its indweller. We are not the body, we are the indweller of the body, which is Sat Chit Anand. And how he defines this so nicely in the verse number 12, he says that in the very starting of his discourse in Bhagavad Gita, in the second chapter, he says, Dehino osmin yatha dehi kaumaram yovanam jara natvevaham jatunasam natvam neme janadhipa nacha eva bhavishyama sarve vayam ataparam. So he says, Arjuna, there was never a time when I did not exist, when you did not exist, and all these people who are lined up here in the war, they did not exist. When we all of us have existed all the time, there was never a time. So there was nor in the future is there going to be any time when you will cease to exist, I will cease to exist, and these kings will cease to exist. That time will never come, because we all have existed eternally, and we all are going to exist eternally because we are that pure consciousness. He starts with that. How much Arjuna understood out of it, that's a questionable thing. And then the next one he says, Dehino asmin yatha dehe kaumaram yovanam jara tatha dehantara prapti dhirastatra namoiti. See, we have to go through different stages in our life. When a child is born, what is his dimension? He may be only 5 pounds, maybe some childs are 7-8 pounds, and then maybe like a foot 12 to 15 inches long and all that. So after 7 years, this is I'm going by a scientific theory, every 7 years the entire cells in our body change. So after 7, let's say 10 years, let's say for sure. After 10 years, the child becomes into a very beautiful boy. But what happened to that small child which was born with only 5 pound weight and 15 inch long? Which means the child has died already. The new boy has come in his place, very, very handsome boy, 10-year-old. And so that child has died. But anybody has mourned the child's death? Nobody has mourned his death. And then another 10 years, the boy, 20, he becomes a youth with maybe 5 feet, 6 feet tall, good weight and handsome looking. And what happened to that 10 years boy? He also died. So like that, if suppose we are 70 years of age right now, which means I have already died 7 times in my life, but nobody has yet mourned my death as yet. So that's what he says. Dehino osmin yatha dehe kaumaram yovanam jara. Means the childhood, the youth, and the old days. Like a man, like a person passes through this age, he enters from one stage to another day, and that body, he gives up that body and enters into a new body for all practical purposes. Even scientifically proved that all cells of the body change. And so, but we don't want that. So when this physically body is completely died, then the soul enters from one body into another body. The situation is exactly the same. Like we change from the childhood to the youth to the old days, and so on and so forth. We enter into the new body. It is nothing different. It is exactly same as what has happened so far. But then people make it a big issue out of it. Oh, this person had died, they cry and all that. So that's what the problem. So that's why it says, Tatha dehantar prapti dhirastatra namuyati. So the intelligent people do not get deluded on account of this death. And then of course he gives so many beautiful examples. Dhanam vasanchi jirnani yatha vihaya navani grahanati naroprani tatha sariraya vihaya jirnani anyani sanyati navani dehi. Just like a person throws away the old worn out clothes, put on the new clothes. So in the same way, when this body is worn out, we throw away this body and get into a new body. Situation is same. Just like you throw away the old clothes, put on the new clothes, you don't mourn the death of the clothes. So in the same way, why should we mourn the death of this body? Same thing. Then of course, the vasansi that we already said, this is beautiful. Nanam chindanti shastrani, nanam dahati pavaka, nachenam kledayantyapo, na shoshayati marta. He discusses about this. The real me, the nanam chindanti shastrani, the weapons cannot pierce me. Okay, the weapons cannot pierce. Nanam chindanti shastrani, nanam dahati pavaka, the fire cannot burn me. The nanam dahati pavaka, nachanam kledayantyapo, water cannot wet me. The air cannot dry me. Nanam dahati pavaka, nanam kledayantyapo, na shoshayati marta. So he gives all these examples. So by contemplating on this, we try to understand more and more the clear distinction between the body and its indweller. So we try to get into our real nature, try to understand what we really are. That's what Krishna has explained in the beginning of the whole thing, but probably Arjuna did not understand much out of it. That's why the rest of the Gita had to come as a explanation, just a question answer session. So that is important. In this, the Swa Swarupa Bodhana, the one of the tools that Acharya Ji is giving us for the Mumukshutvam is Swa Swarupa Avabodhana, means understanding and trying to realize our true nature, that by this we can get the liberation. And now he talks about this Mumukshutvam has to be a very intense, has the desire for liberation or the urge for liberation has to be very, very intense. If it is, but in the beginning it is Mandamadhyam Rupapi, the next verse number 28. Actually in this book it is 29, but in the other books it is 28. Mandamadhyam Rupapi Vairagyena Samadhina Prasadena Guru Sayam Pravarda Suyate Phalam. So in the beginning means not at the birth. At birth nothing is going to happen. Whenever a person, for some reason, he comes to a beginning of his religious or spiritual life or whatever it is going to be like that. See, let's say you pick up a arbitrary section, cross section of the people coming to the temple. People come to the temple for pursuing the religious or spiritual life or whatever it is. Out of say 1,000, you pick up arbitrarily, you pick up 100 people and you ask them, how strong is your desire for liberation? I am sure like 70-80% will say liberation. What do you mean by liberation? Am I bound that I have to be liberated? So which means there is no desire for liberation. They don't even know that they are bound. Some people who have studied all these scriptures and Vedanta and Gita and all those things, even they understand. But even if you ask them, what are you doing? Tell me your routine. What are you doing for this liberation? And ask for their daily routine. It will be the same actually. The same old routine, going to the job, eating, drinking, sleeping. Sometimes once in a while, Sundays maybe I come to the temple, listen to some discourses, then I do this. Maybe once in a while I read Bhagavad Gita. So it is Manda Madhyam Rupapi. The beginning of the religious journey, it is, even though Shankaracharya is saying that nothing to get disheartened about this state. In the beginning, it is going to be either very low or mediocre. It is going to be very torpid, mand, or a mild or torpid, or madhyam means like a mediocre. Manda madhyam rupapi, but how it can be grown into intense desire for liberation, that's what he is giving there. So nothing to get disheartened in the beginning of our religious or spiritual journey. If our desire for liberation or mumukshata is just very mild or even mediocre, nothing to get worried. By following this samadhi shatak sampatti or following this Sādhanacatuṣṭayam, the entire process of these four qualities, the nitya nitya vastu vivek, then vairagya, samadhi shatak sampatti, and this mukshatvam is going to go stronger and stronger and stronger. It says, so vairagyena shamadina means by a strong sense of dispassion and the samadhi shatak sampatti. And the third thing, excuse me, is telling is prasadena guru sayam pravarda suyate phalam. So by this following this process of sadhanacatuṣṭayam means vairagya and then samadhi shatak sampatti, and then of course added with the grace of the guru, the grace, the krapa or the grace, prasadena guru sayam pravarda suyate phalam. Pravarda means it can grow intense. Pravarda means like vradhi. Vradhi means like increasing. But pravarda means it can grow intense. That mukshatvam will, the desire for liberation will grow more and more and more intense. We can reach the final goal. But these three things are required. Following this Sādhanacatuṣṭaya, starting from vivek, as we have discussed, these four things that Acharya ji has mentioned in Sādhanacatuṣṭaya. First of all, they are all kind of complementary to each other. They are not really competent to each other, and they are not like any problem with them, not competing with each other, but they are all complementary to each other. If you have vivek, that will increase our sense of dispassion. Vivek, if you know the difference between the real and the unreal, truth and the untruth, then we say, oh, I want to discard the untruth, I want to pursue only the truth, which means vairagya. So, vivek will strengthen the vairagya, and with this vairagya, when you have the vairagya, dispassion, a sense of dispassion, like a indifference towards the worldly sense objects and this and that, vairagya, then what? Samadhi shatak sampatti will become much more easier. If you have vairagya means a sense of dispassion, means to bring them, to calm down the mind. Shama means the calmness of the mind, and to control the senses. If you have vairagya, you can easily control your senses. Vairagya and samadhina means control your senses, means dhamma. So sama and dhamma and uparti, you can easily introvert. You become introvert from extrovert. Turn the mind inside from avrata chakshu, as the Upanishad says. So we can do all those things, but first we have to have the vivek, then vairagya, then samadhi shatak sampatti, and if we follow all six of them, shama, dhamma, uparti, titiksha, shraddha, if we also have faith, tremendous amount of that shraddha, or belief in the words of the Guru, words of the scriptures, then we can pursue these qualities, and then our desire for liberation, sattva and samadhan, if we have understood what with this, we can practice all these six, shama, dhamma, uparti, titiksha, shraddha, samadhan, then our desire for liberation will become more and more and more intense. So, and then vairagya and samadhina, prasadena guru sayam, Guru's grace is required. With the grace of the Guru and the God, further that will enhance our urge for liberation. Prasadena guru sayam, pravarda suyate phalam, and they are going to bear the fruits. So now, this sampatti, we already talked about samadhi shatak sampatti. Why is he talking about as a sampatti means the treasure? These six qualities that we just discussed in the last couple of days, those are considered by Acharya Ji is considering them as the treasure. We have the worldly treasure. What is that? The money, wealth, our bank balance, the stocks, bonds, gold, and all those things. Most of the time people check their net worth. As of today, with the close of the market today, my net worth is so many millions or so many billions of dollars. Okay, so then we can plan accordingly where to take this year's vacation, where to buy a new time-sharing home, or this or that or that. So many things we can plan. So that is that our physical worldly sampatti, we can do those things. But samadhi shatak sampatti, with this sampatti we can get the true treasure. We can get more and more realization to our true nature. That is, so we need to get rich into this sampatti, this treasure of the six attributes. Samadhi shatak sampatti, we need to get rich of them. So, and then the prasadena guru sayam, the grace of the Guru. Now, what kind of Guru is he talking about? Adi Shankaracharya ji gives a very classical definition of a guru in vivekacūḍāmaṇi itself. He says, Srotriyo avrajino akam hate yo brahma vittame Srotriyo avrajino akam hate yo brahma vittame brahmanyo parate shanto nirindan ivanale ahetuk daya sindhu bandhur anmatam satam. So many beautiful qualities of a guru. Nowadays, so many teachers are available. Everybody claims to be a teacher, teaching and all that. But these are the qualities of the guru. What is the first one? Srotriyo. He should have really understood assimilated the essence of all the scriptures. Not just memorizing the scripture, memorizing Bhagavad Gita, Upanishads or Brahma Sutras. Not. Memorizing is good, nothing bad about it. But assimilating the essence of all the scripture. The guru means he has assimilated, understood, not only understood, he has assimilated and living to those scriptures. You see, not only he has understood, but he is living to the words of the scriptures. That is the Srotriyo avrajino, sinless. In the past he might have done sin, that's not the problem.
Now,
Yeah, now he is sinless. See, because there is a beautiful verse in the 9th chapter, 9th chapter, Apichet Suduraj, Bhagavan promises, Apichet Suduracharo, Bhajate Mam Ananya Bhak, Sadhureva Samantavya, Samyak Vyavastito, he said. Even if a person who was most corrupted or a sinful person, if he worships me with a single pointed devotion, Apichet Suduraj, Bhajate Mam Ananya Bhak, single pointed devotion, Sadhureva Samantavya, he must be considered as a saint, as because Samyak Vyavastito is he has resolved rightly. And there are several examples, consider Valmiki, Tulsidas, so many examples. We are not going to talk about those. But that's what in our second president of India, Dr. Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan, he was a great philosopher. So he also writes about this verse as, in front of every sinner there is a saint, behind every saint there is a sinner. Okay. So now he has resolved firmly that, so no, he is a saint. Past, don't worry about the past. Yeah. Some people know, but this society is a problem. This our present day society is a big problem. Society sees only the sins and the bad things. They will never realize, they would never understand the revolutionary change in the mind and heart of the people. Society will say, this guy, I know him. 20 years ago he did this. He killed his wife, he killed his son, he killed so many people. How can he teach Gita, man? Impossible. So that's what, because we see only the sins. That's what the Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan and Christ, this is such a wonderful subject. I have to tell you a story. So Christ was going and he saw some people were ready to kill a woman because they found her adulterating in some kind of adultery. She was caught in adultery, so they wanted to throw the stones and kill her. So Christ inquired, what's the problem? Why you want to kill this woman? He said, sir, she was found in adultery and all that. It has been proved. He said, okay. He said, all right, go ahead and kill her. But please listen to me. The first stone should be thrown by a person who has never done any sin in his or her life. If you can, that person should be the first one to throw the stone, and then go ahead and kill her, all right. And he went away. After some time, nobody was able to throw the stone. But nobody is like that. We all, if we go look into our internal this thing, we all have done sins in the past. So then they all went away. Then this lady followed Christ, and then Christ looked back and said, what happened? Where are your accusers? He said, sir, they all went away because you told them such and such thing. They all went away. Then Christ said, okay, I am also going. Go and sin no more. That was the final instruction from Jesus. And he went away also. Go and sin no more. So one has to, so then he says, avrajino means, now he is the sinless, completely sinless person. Don't look into his past. So Triyo avrajino, akam hata, he is not smitten by desires. As the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, prajahati, chitpragyas, only desires. Akam hata means he is never ever smitten by desires. Akam hato, yo brahma vittama, he is the best among the knowers of the Brahman. in that Atma or consciousness. He has understood that. Brahmanyo parataya shanto nirindan avanila. His thoughts, his mind is always merged in that Brahman, like a samadhan quality that we just discussed yesterday. Brahmanyo parataya shanto nirindan ivanila. He is calm, his mind is absolutely calm, like the fire which has consumed all its fuel. Nirindan ivanila. Anal means fire and Indan means the fuel. The fire which has consumed all its fuel is like that. And but not only that, ahetuk daya sindhu, a merciless or a motiveless ocean of mercy. The ocean of mercy is the ocean of compassion and mercy without any motive. Ahetuk daya sindhu, bandhur anmatam satam, and he is friend of all who approach him in a nice way actually. So this is the definition of a guru. So having defined the guru like this, now the question arises. I think each one of us has have a question. Okay, where do we find such guru? Where do we go to find such? Do we go to Himalayas? Shall I find one? Not necessarily. But the answer is that answer is not giving. I can give the answer actually. I think we don't have to find a guru, because the gurus will find you depending on how much ready we are. Gurus will find you. So only the example I will give you of my spiritual ideal, that is Ramakrishna Paramahansa. You see, his 12 years of his sadhana can be divided into 3 sections. The first 4 years, he all struggled by himself. He was struggled by himself while he was a priest in the Kali temple. He did all kinds of things, and he was even ready to kill himself because he was not getting the vision of the Divine Mother. So then the mother appeared and he had the vision and all that, but still people used to call him mad anyway because his behavior was very erratic and all that. So that was the first part of 4 years of his sadhana. And then after the 4 years, one day suddenly a lady came, a middle-aged lady, who was probably, I think, elder to him, I think. Her name is Bhairavi Brahmani. She got down from a boat and she saw this boy, young man, sitting there, and she was instantly attracted towards him. And that time everybody was calling him a madman, everybody. And she looked at this boy and then found out she got attracted to him. And then she talked to the temple authorities. I can prove that this person is a supreme incarnation of God. I can prove it. We call a meeting of all the scholars, the contemporary scholars at that time. The meeting was called and people came and she proved. Out of the 2, I think the Pandit Gori and another Vaishnav Charan, there were 2 great scholars. One could come